I also want to take this opportunity to extend my condolences to the Rawlings family, especially our sister Zanato, who we served in Parliament with, and her siblings, and the entirety of Ghana. I mean, Nana Konadu, those of us who were born in the 80s, 90s, or grew up in the 80s and the 90s, virtually she was a staple in our homes. Every 7 p.m. news on GBC, she was there. You know, I remember some of her clothes, her shoulder pads, and her, I don't know whether it's a bandana or some, you know, yeah, the headgear and all that. You know, she was like a fashionista. I mean, of her time. Maybe something similar to what Samira does these days. You know, so she also made her mark in the politics of Ghana through the support to her husband in the revolution and all that. I mean, for me, where I stand politically, I see the revolution as something that was not necessary, you know, especially the 81 coup and all the things that came with it, the excesses, the issues. There's so much. I mean, whilst we also speak about her, obviously, positively, there were negatives too that we also have to raise or sometimes let the people know. It's part of our history. So maybe I'll end it there on that issue. I wish them all the best. May her soul rest in peace. You know, this issue about oral, you know my position on oral. I've told you oral, I have no problem with oral whatsoever. I've said it time and time again because it's an information gathering process. That was what it was. They've gathered a lot of information, which is good. We are getting snippets of it, which is good. But listening to the Attorney General this week, in fact, some of the things that we are hearing, it's beyond comprehension. If they are true, it's really beyond comprehension. We're not talking about small money, though. 1.4 billion Ghana cedis. Do you know how much that is? $100 million. Is that small money? Do you know what? Ask Mr. Minister what $100 million will do in his ministry. Do you know how many roads it will fix? $100 million shared by 5 people. Sarah, we're not talking about small money. People are buying homes in Ghana for $1.6 million. They have outpriced all of us sitting here. We can never buy those homes. In fact, it baffles me that there are homes in Ghana for sale at that price. When you can buy homes in New York, mansions in Texas and co for $300,000 or less. There's no way you can go to anywhere in America and pay $1.6 million cash and the FBI will not come looking for you. It's not possible. That's the reality. You might have to, you definitely have to go and take a mortgage. Even if you have the money sitting, you would have to take a mortgage and guarantee with your money. That is how societies are built. So the first thing, in fact, it's not just them. Even the real estate company that receive the money must be questioned. You see beautiful flats coming up, apartments all over the place. Go and ask the base price. The minimum is like $250,000, and they have all been bought. So people buy 10 apartments at a go, and nobody questions it. Nobody asks questions. You see young men in certain vehicles. I'm not saying people are not working hard. There are people who are working hard. But some raise eyebrows, question marks, question marks, question marks. But I know that our security and intelligence agencies, they know. The BNI, they know. So sometimes it baffles me that we have to wait till after an election before their reports come out or we get to know what the work that they have done. Yoko, they know. They know. Senna, this country, I mean, this is a public platform, but we are made up of hypocrites and thieves. That's the society that we live in. Hypocrites and thieves. Hypocrites. From the churches, mosque, all of them. Ask my brother here, as a politician, when he goes to any mosque or church in Ghana, what's the first thing that they do? Even at a funeral. Recently I went to a funeral with Dr. Baumia. because we went there with Dr. Bawumia, they did a special fundraiser for a project that they're doing, and they were asking him to pay about 2 million cedis. That, oh, Dr. Bawumia, since the former vice president is here, he can help us with about 2 million cedis to finish. I was like, really? In a church, at a funeral. In fact, it was Titus Grover's brother's funeral. I sat there quietly and I watched. And that was what the guy with the mic was saying, because his expectation is that politicians have come there, and therefore we must be able to help him raise money to do their project. There's a church in my constituency that my predecessor went there, and I also went there. We went to campaign there, and they asked us for 11 air conditioners. My predecessor walked out. He didn't say anything, you know, he just laughed and left. So when I went there campaigning in 2020, the pastor brought it up again. And you know, that day, maybe it was the unction of God or the Holy Spirit that spoke through me. I told him straight, that, where do you expect me to get the money from? And then he didn't. In fact, I just went out and I said everything I wanted to say. When I left...
That question is considered an insult.
Yes, when I left, in fact, he lambasted me. And since that day, I've never been given the opportunity to go and campaign in that church again. When we write to them, they don't even respond. This is the reality. People come to us, or the political class, with all kinds of demands. I can tell you that all these corruption cases, NSB, NSA, buffer stock, it was geared towards political activity. That is it. We are living in a country where we spend no less than $200 million to elect one president. $200 million. Do you know how much it costs? Even political primaries, at the base level, basic primaries, you have to pay to serve the people. And if you have spent $500,000 equivalent in cedis, maybe 5 million cedis to win your seat, what do you expect the person to go there and do? This is the reality. The corruption is directly proportional to the cost of our political campaigns. It's as simple as that, Senna. That is the reality of the Ghana. That's why I said we are hypocrites and thieves. You can even bring it down to our businesses. Ask all our foreign business investors that come here. Indians, Lebanese, Chinese. What happens to them? It is, in fact, at the base level, you set up a business, and the first thing the person that you have employed wants to do is to come and steal. The first thing he wants to do is to steal. Even pure water business, when they take the trucks out, by the time the trucks get to the destination, 10 or 4 bags are falling down. Just to go home and tell the management that, oh, we lost about 15 on the way, and they sell 5 somewhere. That is it. Petroleum. I was in the petroleum industry. The whole tanker of fuel can disappear. It disappears. In Ghana. Where did it go? they would pour somewhere and sell the petrol and ditch the car in the bush. Ditch the car in the bush. And then you as a management will go and solve that problem with your insurance company or whatever. This is the reality of the people of Ghana. Hypocrites and thieves. And it starts from the very, very top. It starts from the very, very, very top. Look, we are doing a project. He's in the road ministry. There's a project. There's a current project going on today. The Accra Tema motorway expansion. It cost us $400 million to expand that 18-kilometer road. Yeah? There's a road being built from Egypt to Chad in Jamina. 1,700 kilometers, and it's also costing $400 million. I'm not an engineer, but I don't know how come a 1,700 kilometer road, dual carriage road, will be almost equivalent of an 18-kilometer road. It should tell you that there are problems. And at the back of that issue is the thought process and philosophy of our political class. There's a book written by one gentleman called S.I. Lindbergh. I've referred to it so many times. It's called It Is Our Time to Chop. He came to live in Ghana between 2000 and 2004. In fact, that book was from 2003. Trying to understand the thought process of the political class in Ghana. And that was how he titled the book. It is our time to chop. something about patrimonialism in Ghana. And that is where all the people think. They treat the state's coffers as a private property. This is the country where people can describe a ministry as juicy ministry. So really, your ministry is a juicy ministry. That's what the journalists call them. Yes, juicy ministry. What is a juicy ministry? It means that when you go there, you can make money. I'm telling you. People see you and say, oh, you didn't get any ministry appointment today. Next time, try and get a juicy ministry. I say, what is a juicy ministry? Explain it to me. Senna, this is the reality. These things I'm saying are known to all of us. It's not something that is coming from the moon. It's not something that we've never heard before. These things are known to us. Even in Parliament. Even in Parliament, we have issues like this. So, Senna, we have a long way to go. And look, if we don't nip it in the bud, the kind of chaos we'll see in Ghana will be worse than what happened in Madagascar recently. I'm telling you. Because people are having it up here. When you hear some of the things, you ask yourself whether it's worth it. But some of us are trying our very best to stay sane and be on the track. Trying our very best. Because it gets to a time, sometimes I tell my friends that, my political friends around me, that I'm happy I didn't even win my primaries for my second term. Maybe in the future I'll come back, because I'd gotten to a point where I was just going to tip and join the bandwagon. It says, if you can't beat them, you join them. Because without that, it's as if you cannot survive. Ask him the demands on him. The demands on him. How do the people expect him to fulfill them? His pays. Look, recently I saw on TV people buying chop boxes and mattresses and trunks. Ask yourself where the people are getting the resources from. Our parliamentary salary is known to the world. When you take the loans out of it, we are left to like 5,000 cedis at the end of the month. That is how much we take home. Yeah, in all honesty. When you take your loans out, your car loan and everything, you're left to 5,000 cedis. Yet you are buying 500 trunks for a whole community. So, really and truly, we have to go back to the drawing board and educate our people to understand that our role is not like that of a chief. A chief is completely different. We don't have that. We are not mandated. We don't have that kind of resources to even do the things that MPs do. That we do. Sometimes I even think that the MPs Common Fund should be taken away from us, because people think that it's some huge sum of money that is sitting under our bed and we have access. We don't have access to it. We just write letters to the assembly and then the assembly makes the payments. That is the reality. So we have a society that thinks that it is our time to chop. In fact, the people around you who are working with you to win power are only working with you to win power on the basis that when you get there, they will get the opportunity to also loot or put their hands in the coffers. That is the reality of our society. But all is not lost. There are other societies that have been able to surmount this. And I always use Singapore as an example. The 1950 Singapore was a corrupt Singapore. Very corrupt. It's no different from what we have. But it took a leader, one strong leader, just one strong leader, in one generation, to change the society. To change the whole society. He made it punishable. In fact, when you are caught for corruption, you exile yourself from the society. You just move out. You can't even stay. China had the same problem. In China, they will not come for just you. They will come for you and your children and your family. They will execute you. The wages of corruption should be death. Because, Senna, people have, there are children today who are struggling in the bush, in Asanklegua and all those places, just to go and harvest cocoa. They wake up at dawn, 4 a.m., walk through the night, go into the bush to go and weed their cocoa farms with snake bites, scorpion bites, blah, 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 for us to export this cocoa, raise revenue so that we can take care of ourselves and now go and take care of them. When we get government scholarships to go to school, that is the essence. We have been given that privilege to raise resources and now go and come back and take care of them. Yet, look at what happened under the Cocoa Board. Was it Cocoa Board? Yes. In the last maybe 8 years or even 20 years. In fact, it's as if the two political parties we have become two gangs of thieves. Because I bet you that when NDC leaves power in 2028, hopefully when Dr. Bawumia wins power, we will come back to this table and we'll be discussing similar things that the NDC did, or the NDC is doing now. And that is why I always have a problem. I believe that our state institutions, especially the security institutions that gather intelligence and information, they have all the information. They should make it available to the Attorney General whilst he's in government. Whilst he's in government, some of the things that are happening, they are aware. They have their men on the ground. They have their agents on the ground. There's no community in Ghana that the BNI is not there. They see it. From Galamsey to whatever. They have all the data. They know who are involved, who are sponsoring, everything. All these things that are going, accounts that are being unraveled and all that, are known. There are bigger ones that have not even come to the table, come to the fore, that we are hearing from the background. Huge. And Ghanaians are suffering. We are paying exorbitant electricity bills, exorbitant utility bills. Where people are buying homes in London and in Dubai. We are not talking about small money, my brother. There's so much unexplained wealth in this society that I think it's about time we take the bull by the horn and solve that problem. We need, and I'm hoping that His Excellency John Mahama will be able to stand his ground when it comes to his own people. Stand his ground. Because if we don't do that now, 2016, some of us had hope in Akufo-Addo that he would stand his ground. He will be a firm leader. It didn't materialize. It doesn't mean that though I'm a staunch member of the MPP, I hope that His Excellency John Mahama will be able to do otherwise. Stand his ground so that 2028 we will not come back to this same studio and table to discuss this matter again. That we come back and discuss this matter again. The big man syndrome, all that is a reflection of who we the people are. And that is the reality. We can put all the institutions you want to think that call OSP, AG's departments, all of them out there. We can create them. We can create 20 institutions and still, we may still be suffering this problem if we don't go to the table and address the fundamental issues of our society. Remuneration is one of them. Remuneration is one of them. We don't remunerate our people well. I'm using Singapore as an example. A Singapore minister, the caliber of Suhuyini, takes home a minimum of $800,000 to $1.2 million a year. And it will take care of all the things that Suhuyini needs to do. So Suhuyini will not have any reason under the sun to be corrupt, to steal. I think when we say corruption, it sounds posh. To steal. He will not have any reason. I can give you countless examples. Their own trade minister. Somebody bought him a ticket to go and watch a football match. He went to jail for 9 months. Because the government has given you everything you need to use your mind to serve the people, to solve the people's problems. That is why he's giving you all that resource. They are the highest paid public officers in the world. Their civil servants are some of the highest paid in the world. You have no reason to steal. So for them, when you are caught, it's either the Prime Minister himself will become a witness in court for you, will become a witness in court for the prosecution, or you go home and commit suicide. He'll give you two options. You go to jail, or you go home and commit suicide. It's happened in their history. They had a minister in 1985 who did that. He just had to commit suicide. So we have to make it expensive for people to even think of stealing from the state. We have to make it as expensive as possible for people not to even dream of it. That is the society that we want to create. That is the society that we need so that the people would feel part and parcel of it. When they put their shoulder to the wheel, they know that one day they would benefit from the sweat and tears that they are putting in for Ghana. Not that people, fleece the state at our expense. Literally, fleece the state at our expense. And I've talked about the relationship between our politics and corruption. I will not belabor the point, but we can learn from best practices in other places. How others have done it, how they have solved the problem, how they have been able to move their societies forward. And public education is extremely important. A country where we give NCC 2 million cedis as a budget, National Commission on Civic Education, to go and explain to people. Ghanaians don't know the reasons why we even vote. That's what some of them tell us. So he's voted for you to become, wealthy or a better, successful person, and therefore your responsibility is to take care of him. That is why he thinks he's voting. Senna, so we have a long way to go in this fight, but it is not lost. That is what I want to end with. That is not lost. People, other societies have been able to solve that problem. How did they do it? How did they, that's what comparative politics is all about. How did they solve that problem? Let us learn from them and also try and solve our problems that way. But for me, anything that the state will do to recover the loot, I'll support it. Regardless of political coloration and regardless of my relationships with people. No. Anything that the state will do to recover the loot, we will support it. But it has to be done legitimately. It has to be done within the confines of the law. Give the person the opportunity to come and explain himself, and then, what do you call it? Give him the opportunity to defend himself. And if he's found guilty, so be it. But people must be punished if they are found guilty. Senna, I'll rest my case there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.